The 1880 train is one of the longest running steam engines in the entire country. We're Matt and Cheryl with We're in the Rockies, and we try to help you have a great trip to the West. So today, come and join us on an old-time steam engine train ride through the Black Hills of South Dakota. The 1880 train is a popular passenger steam engine that travels through the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. Modeled after the trains that once served the region during the mining boom, this historic locomotive chugs along at a leisurely pace, providing good views mingled with some nostalgia. There are two depots where you can board the train. These are located in the towns of Keystone and Hill City. These towns are 10 miles apart, and the train travels from one to the next, a round trip of 20 miles, passing through green, rolling hills. Today we're boarding at the Keystone Depot. We'll ride to Hill City, where we'll have a half-hour layover. During this time, the manager will give us a behind-the-scenes tour of the rail yard, while others get a bite to eat or walk around. Then we'll load up and come on back. Okay, we are here at the 1880 train. This is a historic and one of the longest running tourist trains in the country. It's just arriving. Right, here it comes. Okay, we also have our tickets for the train here. They are actually giving us a free ride on this train today. And there's a story behind this that I will tell you once we get on the train. After the train arrived, we got to check out the train a little bit and watch the workers prepare it for the trip back to Hill City. One trip takes 1,000 gallons of water. The big water towers are also a nice little photo op, especially in Hill City when you can more easily get the engine in the shot. The Black Hills Central Railroad, baby. So we're down towards the front of the car, apparently.
Well, we're right in the middle.
Oh, we're in the middle?
Yes.
Okay.
They put us in the middle so we didn't have too much noise.
You can see some of the beautiful scenery behind it that we're going to be going through. There we are.
There we go.
Okay, got a duck to get in here. This is old-timey.
And we have assigned seats.
Yeah, assigned seats. Nice. Also, we can bring food and drink on the train. That's kind of nice. The first thing I noticed when we boarded the train was just how nice the interior of the train cars were. They definitely take pride in their train. The train ride slowly winds through the rolling Black Hills, sometimes through tight openings, sometimes opening up into wider meadows. The scenery you'll see from the train isn't very different from the scenery you can see just by driving around the Black Hills, because everywhere you go in the Black Hills is very pretty. But what's nice is that it travels away from the road, only crossing roads every once in a while. This route was originally used to get gold, people, and supplies in and out of the Black Hills after the big Black Hills gold rush in 1876. In the 1920s, the line was used to haul equipment into the area for the construction of Mount Rushmore. Okay, nice thing is there's windows, big windows by us here, and we're sitting here next to the front of the cart where there's open doors. You can see into the cart in front of us. So that means it gives us a lot of ventilation. Okay, right now we are headed to Hill City, and we're gonna stop there, get off and do a little tour, and then we're gonna come back to Keystone. And on the way back, we're gonna give you a little more details about the ride.
Hello, everybody!
Hi!
Hey! Welcome to the 1880s train. My name is Daryl, and this is on. We'll be taking your tickets. Hey, your tickets? I don't have to make him push?
Looking good, Daryl. I like your outfit.
Oh, well, thanks a lot.
Has the history of all the cars that we have here,
so
as well as the history of the engines and a historical timeline of the engine of the train system here in the hills. If you care to have one, they're $4.
I've got $5.
These guys' books.
Yeah.
History of the 1880 train. I love the train car. Like, it's really old and historic and wooden in here. You can see some of these light fixtures up here, some of the molding, the paneling. I think that has been really cool and more authentic to like the 1800s than some of the other trains that we've been on recently. Of course, steam was eventually replaced by diesel. Then railroads were replaced by vehicles. But in the 1950s, a former railroader named William B. Heckman thought the nation should have at least one running steam engine line so that people could have a living, historical reminder of a once great age of steam. He opened up a tourist steam line from Keystone to Hill City. He named it the 1880 train, Not because the train itself dated back to the 1880s, but it was to harken back to the early days of train travel in the Black Hills. Yeah, they're coming around with food and water as well, so nice comfortable ride. I mentioned earlier that they're giving us a free ride. We normally don't do things for free, but there's an interesting story behind this. In 2009, we visited the Black Hills with our parents and our children. Our 2 boys were obsessed with trains at the time, so we just had to take them on the train. About 15 minutes into the ride, the car in front of us and our own car's front wheels derailed. It was a bumpy ride for a few seconds, and people were falling off their seats as the wheels smashed into the railroad ties. They stopped the train and we waited for 2 hours while a diesel engine was sent up the line to pick us up. It was really quite a comical and adventurous experience. But to the 1880 train company's horror, one of those riders that day happened to have a video camera, and worse yet, that rider happened to become a YouTuber 11 years later and shared that experience in a video. So last year, the business operation manager, Nate Anderson, saw the video on YouTube and reached out to us. He said he thought we treated the company fairly in our video. Much of the equipment is 100 years old, and we understand that things happen. So he was kind enough to offer us a complimentary ride and a behind-the-scenes tour, which we'll do when we stop in Hill City in a moment. What really cracked us up was when an employee came to talk to us on the ride. He said, "You're the YouTube couple." We laughed when he told us that everyone in the company had seen our video and that the company had even made a few procedural changes as a result. This railroad isn't in like the Rockies, so you wouldn't think it's that steep, but they just came on here and said the grade is like between 4 and 6% in some of the places, which makes it one of the steepest in the country. That's kind of crazy. I would not have guessed.
This is to the Hill City Depot that we're coming into the station.
This is the rail yard in Hill City where the central operations are run. They have 5 steam engines and 2 diesel engines here. Some of these locomotives are over 100 years old. I believe they have a total of 10 passenger cars, most of which were obtained from the Pacific Northwest. They restore each engine or passenger car that they obtain. While here in Hill City, they'll fill up the engine with 1,000 gallons of water, then move it to the other side of the passenger cars to pull them back to Keystone. This means that if you sit on the front or back of the cars, you'll be by the engine for one leg of the trip. If you don't want to be by the engine, sit in the middle. Okay, we have the manager of the train giving us a little tour here and is just really helping us understand how special it is and all the work that goes in behind the scenes. I don't know much about trains, and I honestly can't remember a lot of what he told us, but the biggest thing that stood out to us was the tremendous care they have for their equipment. The train was in jeopardy in the 1980s when freight traffic was non-existent and the rail lines were being turned into bike paths. One of the paths is the fabulous George Mickelson bike trail that travels 100 miles through the Black Hills on old rail line beds. But thankfully, a couple from Hill City stepped in to save the day for this line. Robert and Joanna Warder bought the 1880 train and restored the rail line. Over the next 30 years, they also restored every passenger car to a more historically accurate look with rich hardwood interiors and stained glass. They bought 2 new huge steam engines. These required massive efforts to restore them, but they now share the load in hauling tens of thousands of passengers each year.
Sweatpants.
Okay.
And a cheap shirt.
Okay. All right. This is the dirty work that we have to do as YouTubers sometimes, huh?
It feels hot in here.
It is hot because it was warmed up last night.
Look at this, where the magic happens. All sorts of levers and gears and meters. Holy smokes.
Okay, we're now in the workshop here. Oh, he's making 62 bench seats here.
Every bit of this.
Oh my goodness.
Every bit of these brackets, every piece of this wood.
All this is made in-house.
So,
Wow.
stay there.
Look at all those bench seats. They're gonna go in the open air cars.
So once we're assured that it's not going to snow, then we'll put these in the lineup. And they hold a little extra. So this current train that you rode on today is about 350 passengers per train. And then with the open air cars in there, we have about 400.
Okay, we just had a wonderful tour by Nate, the business operations manager. That was fantastic.
I am becoming a train appreciator. I used to not really look too forward to these, but I bought the little guidebook that they sell, so I've been reading about that on the train. Just after our tour and reading a little bit, it's amazing to me the maintenance that they have to do to keep these trains going. Like this train was late 1800s, early 1900s, and there are no prefabricated pieces on this train. They have their own shop, and they're their tools, and they have 2 welders on their team. And then there's a wood shop, and the guy is like hand making all the benches that they're making for their open carts. And it's just incredible to me the maintenance and care they have to do to keep the preservation of this old way to travel intact, and just like how smoothly it runs, but the work behind making it smooth, and like what a dirty job it was too. I mean, my hands were covered in grease just from climbing up the ladder. Knowing the history and then what goes into maintaining these trains just makes you appreciate them even more.
Let's talk nuts and bolts of riding the 1880 train. This train ride, it starts in Hill City or Keystone. You can choose. And you can also choose how long you want to stay in the town. A lot of times people will start in Hill City, right up here, spend the afternoon in Keystone doing a family activity, getting something to eat. Then they'll come back. You see the pick on your train ticket what time you want to depart and what time you want to arrive back. And you can kind of work around that. They also do some kind of fun things on Sundays. They have a shootout if you're into that. And we actually met Santa Claus on the train. Mike plays Santa Claus in the winter. They do a Polar Express, but they call it something different. But they have that going on. Other things to know is that they said that to book your tickets, we booked ours online in advance, but they usually have some available the day of. And the train is not always completely full, which is nice because some of the seats will face each other. So on our train, they said it was pretty typical. The seat across from you won't be filled, so you'll have a little bit of extra space. But man, such a wonderful ride, nice and easy, and only takes about, I'd say around 3 hours between going the one way, the switching the engine around, and then going back if you need to make it a quick thing, or you can make it longer if you're wanting to spend time in either of the cities.
You may have noticed from the map earlier that Mount Rushmore is right by the 1880 train, and you can visit it with us right now by clicking the video icon on your screen. Thanks for watching.